Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Haribol, Haribol. Welcome, welcome to our Jaiva Dharma reading, and thank you for all attending. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Oh Radhe 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Vrishabhanu Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gaura Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Brantaracharya Ki Jai Jai Shila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Jai Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parasada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikha Hosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautram Dvip Madhya Dvip Kola Dvip Ritu Dvip Janadvip Modan Dvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwadasa Vartmaka Brajamandal Ki Jai Radhakun, Shamakun, Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Brinda Devi, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shrimati Purnamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai, Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vigna Vinasakari, Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Chari Dham Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Chari Acharya Ki Jai, Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gauda Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaye Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Varatino Kalo, Samadapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundaratu Dikatamba Sadipita, Sadahradare Kandare Swadatu Vasachinandanaha, Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apetykrityam Dvaipaeno Viraha Katara Ajuhava, Putreti tam mayatayo taravo vinidustam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi. Bhaktya vihina aparara lakshay shiptascha karmadi tarangamadye. Kripamai tvam sharanam prapana brinde namaste charanaravindam. Bhajami radham aravinda netram smarami radham madurashmitasyam. Vadami radham karuna varadram tato manasti katyana kapi. Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina iti vignaya radhe tvam naimam charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dhanava pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto our beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Vrayate, and unto our esteemed Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. So today, coming straight to our Jaiva Dharma study and to immerse ourselves in this remarkable scripture that daily reveals fresher and newer considerations of our Siddhanta. Even if we knew these truths previously, we've heard them many times before, but somehow the words of Jaiva Dharma ignite a fresher meaning. It's like, so this is evolving. Our consciousnesses are evolving and transforming from hearing the words of Jaiva Dharma daily. This is so healthy for us to scroll through these chapters and siddhantas and truths, etc., to reinforce them completely. And then we'll become qualified for the last 14 chapters, which probably most of us have not studied extensively. We might have read them, but studying them together will be an experience for sure, because they're very confidential topics, but we will proceed and reach the last chapters. So now the last 4 verses. Jaiva Dharma Pate se Shuddha Bhakti hoy, Jaiva Dharma na padile kabu bhakti noy.
One who reads Jaiva Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain Bhakti.
How amazing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is Satya Sankalpa. He's giving us a benediction. If we read or listen, go through this Jaiva Dharma faithfully, then one will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. First of all, we have to know what is Shuddha Bhakti, and this is what we're hearing about in the first, second, third, and fourth chapter constantly. So first of all, we were seeing the change in consciousness in Sannyasi Thakur. His initial change in consciousness happened when he saw that Vaishnava chanting and singing. That was his first association. And then we see that whole evolution, transformation of his consciousness into the second chapter, where he has that spruti, that vision, and then he changes his dress. And now we're going to see the transformation of Lahari Mahashai, this other Brahmin gentleman who is sincere, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't be there. And he's accomplished. He has some material talents. So they also have to be set aside and purified to reach understanding of the supreme goal. So we're seeing this evolution that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is demonstrating to us to encourage us to evolve simultaneously by hearing, just like in Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear from the very beginning, from the first canto, is practically like the Mahabharata introduction to all the different personalities. We're introduced to Vidura, we're introduced to Yudhisthira Maharaj, Dhritarashtra, even we're introduced to Parikshit. We're introduced, of course, no, in the 19th chapter, we're introduced to Shukadev. But all these personalities are manifesting, and then we're going to go into the truths in the second and canto, where Shukadev is um, establishing his um, place in the Bhagavatam, full of prayers to the Supreme Lord. And then the Bhagavatam really begins in the third canto with the pastime of Varahadev, the manifestation there. And then it scrolls all the way through. But each time it's fresher and fresher. It's carrying us forward. So this is why when we come daily to this Jaiva Dharma, it's always ever fresh. It's ever got newer and newer nuances, newer appreciations. Not that, oh, yes, I read all this before, but actually it's just evolving. So we can transform with that evolution of consciousness. This is the purpose, right? So we can purify ourselves sufficiently away from this Mayic attraction or deluding potency and come solidly to in the place of attachment, not just appreciating Krishna, but actually appreciating Krishna with priti, with affection. Because first of all, there's the philosophy of the becoming detached from the material world. That's like a yogi. But then the next stage is to become attached to Krishna. And then after that initial attachment, then it's got to be attachment with love. So this is our journey. Rupanuga
अभिमान
Abhiman
पाथे
Pate
हृदय
Drita
होय,
Hoy
जैव
Jaiva
धर्म
Dharma
विमुखा
Vimuka Ke
के
Dharma
धर्म हीन
Hinak
काय.
Hoy.
Faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's Abhiman as Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma is certainly devoid of religious
So
principles.
isn't it interesting that in both of these verses we said before there's a Swarup Lakshan and a Tatastha Lakshan, the two considerations in each verse. There's the positive, that if we read Jaiva Dharma, we'll attain Shuddha Bhakti, and if you don't, you can never attain Bhakti. So that's like the Swarup first, and then the Tatashta second. And the same in this verse. It's the Swarup first and the Tatashta second. Tatashta means the secondary aspect. So this is the prohibition, so to speak. If you don't um, one who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma. This means he is averse to Rupa Goswami, because this verse is mentioning Rupa Goswami, a follower of Rupa Goswami. We have to understand that we are only followers of Rupa Goswami. We are Raganuga, Rupanugas, following in the wake of the Ragatmikas. The Ragatmikas are those spiritually perfect personalities. We are following them carefully because they please Krishna the most. They have the most priti for Krishna. So we also want that to understand, where is that priti within me? Where is that love within me for Krishna? So how will I find that unless I see the various examples in Lalita, Vishaka, Tungavidya, Champakalata, Chitra, Sudevi, Rangadevi, Indulekha, these personalities? How will I see how to bring about the union between Radha and Krishna? If we read the pastimes, they they cannot meet without the assistance of all the gopis and some of the gopas, Madhumangal, Subal. They are there assisting also. When Krishna leaves the cowherd boys at midday, he goes with Subal Saka, he goes with Madhumangal, and then they engage in it. It's such a delicate um, relationship, really, because it's such a powerful relationship. So it's like when Radharani she sees Krishna, all these amazing bhavs start just erupting from her body, and she becomes very shy because her heart is just opening out. So in that shyness, there's some difficulty in communication, and Krishna is trying so hard to actually get through to Sri Radhika. And Radhika knows that the more difficult it is for Krishna, then the more love is going to manifest from Krishna. If it was so simple for Krishna just to walk into the relationship with Radhika, if she was compliant immediately, then that would be no seva for Krishna. Krishna has to perform this very demonstrating his enthusiasm to be with Radha. And Radha has to wait until it's at its peak. And only then can the relationship be cemented. But all of those conversations between there, bringing it to its peak, are supported fully by the gopis. Unless Lalita is there with Vishaka, making all different jokes and so on like that, Krishna's making jokes, they're trying to loosen the atmosphere, they're trying to bring the divine couple close. But it's a seva. Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddhe. It's saying that Guru is involved always in arranging these meetings between Radha and Krishna. Then Vrinda Devi has to intercede. She has to, she's always there. Radha and Krishna can never meet without Vrinda Devi's arrangement. She arranges for the trysting place, for the kunja where they're going to meet. If it's Radha Kund, then everything, all the paraphernalia is arranged. It it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of seva. Why? Because so many people are going to be involved in the union of Radha and Krishna. They facilitate this um, dynamic of seva is everywhere. We're going to read in the last verse here, this Amal Prem Seva. This seva is the principal key to connecting. So Krishna also is hungry for that seva. Radhika is automatically serving Krishna. Every atom of Radhika's existence is only focused on how can I please Krishna. Every atom. So Krishna is reciprocating. So it's a very dynamic situation there. And it's all described by Rupa Goswami for us. If we didn't have Srila Rupa Goswami part, the Govinda Lilamrita, the Bhavanamrita, these are all written under the direction of Rupa Goswami. They all acknowledge I am writing under the inspiration and guidance of Rupa Goswami. It's all so. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, a follower of Rupa Goswami, having the abhiman of a Rupa Nuga, we should be very, very proud if we have this mood of wanting to follow only Rupa Goswami. We should be very thankful and grateful that this has come into our lives in this birth. For billions of births, we have been searching Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, Purtana Avritano, um, uh, Arjun, many births up and down through the different planetary systems. And finally, we've come to hear that shining, glorious name of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. And how is his engagement with Radha and Krishna's pastimes? So this is precious, precious, totally precious. Yava jivane jay pade jaiva dharma bhakti man se jnana brita jnana karma.
One who faithfully reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of gyan and karma.
So we should make a commitment to this Jaiva Dharma for the rest of our lives. We should pray to have the intelligence and wisdom to always have it close at hand, along with our Bhagavatam, along with our Chaitanya Charitamrita. Although, as I said yesterday, this whole compilation, the Bhagavatam is impregnated into this Jaiva Dharma. Chaitanya Charitamrita is infused into this Jaiva Dharma. But still, Chaitanya Charitamrita must be there. Krishna Ramala Seva Labi Segara Seva Sukhe Magnaraha Sada Krishna Para.
Such a man, being fully devoted to Shri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service.
How could we come away from that immaculate loving service? How would we leave that service once we've tasted even a tiny fraction of the sweetness of that? We see even in the material world, people are understanding that service is the symptom of love. You know, if you're in a family and you serve your mother, you serve your father, then the reciprocation is going to be very sweet. If you serve your children, if you're a mother, if you're a father, if you serve your children, everything is service to maintain that mode of goodness just in the material world. What to speak of the rewards of seva to that Supreme Lord. Plus, it's our intrinsic nature to serve. If we're not serving in that capacity, we can never find satisfaction of the self. Never, ever, ever will there be satisfaction without. That's why we talk about this Nirvishesh Brahm. Nirvishesh Brahm is not about serving the Supreme. It's about serving ourselves with some mystical, wonderful Shantaras experience, which is there. This is the problem. That Shantaras is there, and that mystical experience is there. If we're foolish enough to enter that realm, we can attain that place of Shantaras. Yes, it's possible. We can go into that Brahmajyoti. Na sochati na kanchati. No more suffering, no more lamentation. We can go there. It's there for the taking. But that's why we need this wisdom. We need this knowledge to clear the avidya, the ignorance of these other options, alternatives. That would be tragic to go into that race. We run into that realm because we're actually afraid of the strength of the personal connection. The personal connection is so vibrant, it's so real. Just like I described when Radhika meets Krishna, all these moods are coming so strongly, she becomes shy. So if we start to actually come closer and closer in our service to Radha and Krishna, then we're going to be um, perhaps become a little bit intimidated at some point of the realness of it. We have to face the very realness of our own selves, within ourselves. Do we have the courage to go this far? To leave our whole material conception behind? Because that's what it demands. I said the other day, like my Gurudev is describing Raghunath Das in Radhakund. When he's in Antardesh, he doesn't even know who Raghunath Das is. So when we're not in this body, we don't even have the. Do we have remembrance of our previous births now? Don't be thinking, oh, I'm packing up a good storehouse for my next births. You won't even know about them. There'll be some impressions, and we will perhaps move to a higher destination, but we won't know how that came about. We will have to start from scratch, assimilating, just like we read the lives of the acharyas, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his own life. He didn't discover a Chaitanya Charitamrita until he was about 25, 26 years old, or maybe later. So it wasn't like you just instantly click into that place just because you perform some devotional service in this life. So we have to be very attentive, very careful. Okay, coming to our chapter 4. I've got page 63. So we were describing yesterday, he described the Sambandha Tattva. Without Sambandha, without knowledge of my relationship with the Supreme, nothing spiritual can transpire. Nothing. And today we're going to go into the Abhideya Tattva. I think that's where we're up to. I'll start from the. Huh?
Page 62. Lahiri.
Oh, page 62. Okay.
Lahiri is asking the question.
Okay, yes.
How can
Thank
Shri
you.
Krishna-
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to read the last paragraph that we read yesterday just to connect us again. Brahm is only one aspect of Bhagavan, and we discussed yesterday the topics, the qualities of Brahm, Gyan and Vairagya, how it's like an impersonal, yes, they're not personal. Those whose spiritual intelligence is limited are attracted to the feature of the Supreme that is devoid of qualities, and it's formless, immutable, unknowable, and immeasurable. Oh, that is devoid of qualities and is formless, immutable, unknowable, and immeasurable. This is the nature of Brahm. But those who are all seeing, Sarvadarshi, have no attraction for anything other than the complete absolute truth. That means if we've been guided by sadhu sangha, if we've been guided by a pure devotee, first of all, perhaps we might be guided just by the vani of that pure devotee. That's sufficient to get us on track, to understand this aspect, this truth. Vaishnavas, but it's not sufficient to keep us going. We have to connect with those sadhus who will actually carry us across the line. We have to see it in real life, so to speak. We can't just be satisfied with the scriptures guiding us. There has to be some association. The sadhu has to demonstrate these truths in his own life to give an example to others to actually follow. And the pure sadhu will do that. Vaishnavas have no significant faith in Sri Hari's formless, impersonal feature, for it is opposed to their eternal function of unalloyed prem. Why is it opposed? Because there's no recognition of the object of our devotion in that formless place. So if it's formless, then where is Krishna? If it's without attributes, where is Krishna? Where is all his pastimes? Where is his dham? It's all not there. Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chandra is the basis of both the personal and impersonal features. Yes, Krishna is the basis of both at the same time. So we have to be completely dedicated and sincere to this path. Otherwise, we will easily slip off it. He is an ocean of supreme transcendental bliss, and he attracts all pure jivas. Krishna, the name means all attractive. Lahari, how can Sri Krishna's form be eternal, since he takes birth, performs activities, and gives up his body? How can he be eternal? There's a beautiful verse in the third canto where Uddhava is saying, Karamani anihasya bhavo bhavasyate, Bharavas Yuteshra Ram Pramod. This is a verse that's describing that Krishna, he doesn't take birth, and yet he does take birth. And he's fear personified, yet he hides in a fortress in the ocean. And he's the most renounced, yet he lives with 16,108 queens. How can the pundits, how can scholars understand and reconcile these differences? So Lahari, he's asking this question. How can I reconcile Krishna is that supreme eternal if he's got a form? This is what confounds the impersonalists. They can't make that understanding from the formless into having a form of potency and Shakti. They can't make that bridge. You understand what I'm saying clearly? How can Sri Krishna's form be eternal, since he takes birth, performs activities, and gives up his body? That's what he presents to the public. Babaji, Sri Krishna's form is Satchit Ananda, ever existing, full of knowledge and completely blissful. His birth, activities, and leaving the body have no connection with mundane matter. He's not connected with mundane matter at all. He never is connected with mundane matter. Then why, Lahari, then why have such descriptions been given in Mahabharata and other Shastras? Babaji, the eternal truth defies description, for it is beyond words. Words are something that we're putting into intellectual or academic understanding from this realm. But to describe words, to reach that realm, we've said before, we need the transcendental connection, which is completely beyond words and space and time. It's beyond the concepts of past, present, and future. This is transcendence. Then why have such descriptions been given in Mahabharata and other Shastras? Babaji, the eternal truth defies description, for it is beyond words. The pure soul, in his spiritual aspect, sees the transcendental form and pastimes of Sri Krishna, but when he describes that supreme reality in words, it appears just like a worldly, mundane history. Yes. It can't really capture because it's not received in its transcendental potency if we haven't become transformed in our consciousness. When we hear these pastimes as a devotee, lifting Govardhan Hill, dancing on the hoods of Kalia Naga, etc., the devotee becomes very excited for that. But the non-devotee, he can't put his full faith in those pastimes because he hasn't developed this sambandha gyan, which is going to be described. The pure soul, in his spiritual aspect, sees the transcendental form and pastimes of Sri Krishna, but when he describes that supreme reality in words, it appears just like worldly, mundane history. Those who are eligible to extract the essence from Shastras, such as the Mahabharata, experience Krishna's pastimes as they are. However, when people of mundane intelligence hear these descriptions, they interpret them in different ways. Yes, this is the fact. Lahari, when one meditates on the form of Sri Krishna, the conception that arises in the heart is limited by time and space. How can one transcend such limitations and meditate on Krishna's actual form? What a beautiful question. What a beautiful question. Let's hear the answer. Babaji, meditation is an action of the mind, and as long as the mind is not fully spiritualized, one's meditation cannot be spiritual, chinmoy. Bhakti purifies the mind so that it gradually becomes spiritual, and when one meditates with the mind that has become purified in that way, such meditation certainly becomes chinmoya. So when the mind is purified of all the obstructions, our attractions, the anarthas, etc., Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said in another place that the mind is the only instrument we have to reach transcendence. We only have the mind. So it's essential that we control the mind. The mind is like a wild horse if we don't, and can lead us into all kinds of difficulties and problems if we let it just run its own course without controlling it. I mean, if you're riding on a horse and you're not controlling the horse, if you're just letting it run, this is not what a wise man would do. When Bhajananandi Vaishnavas chant Krishna's name, the material world cannot touch them because they are chinmoy. Internally, they are situated in the spiritual world as they meditate on Krishna's daily pastimes and relish the bliss of confidential service. How beautiful. When we're chanting our mala in the morning time and we're meditating on Nishanta Lila, Prata Lila, Purvana Lila, Madhyana Lila, Apurvana Lila, Shyam Lila, Pradosh Lila, Ratri Lila, when we're meditating on these different yamas of the day and understanding all the different activities that are going on in the different, it's so packed. There are so many pastimes going on. So the devotee wants to become empowered by the sound vibration of the holy name so that he can fully appreciate all of these leelas that are happening. And when he's doing that, he's actually in the spiritual realm. He's there. He's not perhaps fully enlightened, we can say, but he's certainly got one step out of this material world. If we take it carefully and seriously, sadhan, bhajan. Lahari, please be merciful and grant me such spiritual realization. Chid Anubhav. Yes, Lahari is realizing. This is the first time he said it directly. He's asking for direct mercy to come from Vaishnava Das. When that mercy comes from Guru, from sadhus, we know it's come. Perhaps sometimes in the day we're chanting, we're thinking of different things are going through the consciousness, but then all of a sudden something very wonderful begins to happen, and I realize actually I'm fully on track with my spiritual meditation. Then we should consider, where did that come from? Did I just offer pranam to Tulsi Devi? Did I just meet a powerful sadhu? Did I chant something correctly? Like there's a reason why that mercy becomes ignited within us or inspired within us. You understand? It comes. So we should try to consider, what was it that gave me such inspiration? You understand what I'm saying? You have those experiences.
Can it be dream?
Dreams also can be very inspiring, but in the dream world, it's more like directly. But the dream world will act according to what the impressions were we received the previous day. what you're going to dream about at night is going to be according to what you actually experienced in the day or previously. It's very rare that something completely separate is going to manifest in the dream. When you abandon, oh Babaji, when you abandon all material doubts and mundane logic, he's saying this to a, a Brahmin gentleman. For him to, abandon mundane logic is not going to be a simple thing, especially in an older body. But by the association of Vaishnava Das Babaji, then he will be able to do that. We'll see. It's all by association. And constantly apply yourself to Sri Nam. Spiritual realization will quickly arise within you of its own accord. We don't have, previously, Lahari Mahashai was saying that I just want to try to inspire these barbs within me. But this is not the nature of pure transcendental sadhana. These moods will automatically come within us. First of all, this mantra upasana, and then the swarasiki upasana, these different states of consciousness while we're chanting on one pastime, and then swarasiki, many pastimes start to tumble through the mind simultaneously. The more you resort to mundane logic, it's like our security bag is the mundane logic. We always try to keep the mundane logic there because it's got to make sense in the material world. But that is holding us back. That's restricting us. This path is without the mundane logic. I've described a couple of times that in the stories of the Christian mystics, when they describe their journey into the Brahman, because that's the only place that they can actually have access to, and they're experiencing the light, etc., and the loving mood that's coming from the Brahman. But then they start to consider, try to analyze it. What's happening here? Then immediately they come back down again. That's just an example. But as soon as we start to analyze the change in consciousness in a logical, academic way, or what's happened, then immediately it's going to be lost, because it indicates that my Sharanagat, my faith in the Supreme Lord, is not complete. I'm not trusting in where He's bringing me in my consciousness. I'm thinking, no, I have to hold on to what I understand, my logic, my rationale. You understand? We always have to hold this like security blanket or security pillow, whatever, which is our academic, intelligent part of our minds. But even that has to be let go in the real diving into meditation. Yes.
Like for a sadhak who's practicing, is it you said about Swarasiki and Mantrapasana? So when he's into that, his count might not complete sometimes. Does that matter? Means
No, it doesn't matter.
because
No, it doesn't matter is the answer to your question.
okay.
He's asking about maintaining our numbers of mala.
Hmm.
And if we're having a divine experience, then it won't matter. But if you're concerned for it, when that divine experience ceases, then just chant more and make up for whatever you omitted. You're not going to crash the gates of heaven by numbers.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way. It
And
doesn't.
even that, whatever uh, the the leelas, it is also coming very naturally. Not that we
Yes,
can.
this is exactly what he's saying here.
Hmm.
It'll come naturally. We know in the stage of ruchi, for example, there has to be some imposition on the mind to control the senses in the stage of ruchi. But it's described in the stage of asakti. There's no imposition on the mind. We automatically are attracted to Krishna. That's the stage of asakti. So it's like that. This is what he's described. Automatically, that's going on. There's no need for imposition on the mind. Even Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, right at the very beginning, he said this Hare Krishna mantra is not an imposition for the mind. It's not something to um, uh, like intimidate the mind with, so to speak. It's something so powerful it'll just carry the mind to a transcendental place of consciousness if we have let go of our material logic and rationality. If we stop trying to be the controllers in this world, at least during that period of our meditation. When we're in meditation, then we can just give up our desire to control everything and just allow the Lord's mercy to come through with his pastimes.
So in that you said imposition. Can we infer that, like, suppose the mind is not it's on a not meditative platform, with the help of mantra, means we need not worry about is it sticking on somewhere or something.
No, we have to guide it
Huh.
until we're at a higher stage. It has to be guided. Obviously, for example, if you just wake up in the morning and your mind is all over the place from the previous day's impressions, then perhaps we have to read a little bit. We have to refocus. We have to train. We have to have our um, sadhan, our steps to again reawaken that more sublime state of consciousness where we're actually directly having perception, direct perception, pratyakshavagamam dharmyam, susukam, kartam avyayam, saying in Bhagavad Gita. This process is by direct perception. We only want direct perception. If we're not getting direct perception, we're not going to be satisfied. What's the point? What's the point of just going on chanting and there's nothing actually manifesting? And if nothing is manifesting, then I should be crying. I should be becoming more enthusiastic to try to evoke the mercy of the Lord. Somehow or other, examine myself closer and closer. What am I doing that's wrong? Shukadev Goswami, that heart is steel framed, that doesn't melt and cry tears when one is taking the holy name. And the purport for that is that if one is committing offenses to the holy name, what is the 10th offense? After understanding hearing so many instructions on this matter, one still doesn't have complete faith in this. That means you haven't come to the paramatic stage. You're still on the lokik sambandha stage. You're still on this worldly platform. And what impetus do we have to get off the worldly platform? This world stinks, doesn't it?
Yes.
And if you don't think it does, Krishna will arrange for you to have an experience of that. I mean, it's so easy today in Kali Yuga. We just see the anomalies, we just see the degradation, we see the horrors that are being perpetrated everywhere. More horrors than positive things are going
And
on.
at a very young age, we can get the sting.
Huh?
At a very young age itself.
Yes, we're conditioned from birth
Hmm.
with all these horrors. So it's not easy in Kali Yuga. But at the same time, it is easy to reject,
Hmm.
to understand its place. It becomes very easy for us to think. If you're in a traditional Indian family where you're brought up with so much attachment to mother, father, family, etc., then it's very hard to disengage and realize this is not my mother.
Hmm.
This is not my eternal father. These are not my relatives. These are just passing by in this one brief life. We have to appreciate how brief, not even 100 years practically these days. That's the lifespan because the air is so polluted, food is polluted, water is polluted, the ground is polluted. How can we actually optimize this vehicle of the body in such a condition where we don't have the support from nature? Nature's been like pushed around. But if we keep these attachments, we can never break out of that mundanity. So we have to be careful.
I have one question regarding the point that number of counts. So, but Haridas Thakurji was
Chanting 3 lakh
chanting 3
names.
lakhs a day. So, how to understand this?
Haridas Thakur is the Namacharya, and he had the ability to do like that, even though he was transported to such a high state of ecstasy while he was chanting, and he just never stopped that chanting. So we cannot imitate this,
Yeah.
but we attempt to maintain our steady daily intake. Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gananati B. Srinivasacharya, he's singing in the Sad Goswami Astakams, to maintain these mala. It's saying that Mahaprabhu would never take prasadam at the house of someone who wasn't a lakpati, someone who didn't chant alak names. Actually, once you start to chant that, you find that you can do it very easily. You just have to make that jump of faith to begin to incorporate that in your life, and then to schedule it through the day. But there are something 441 minutes in the day? You can do the calculation on I've forgotten the actual number. But there's so many minutes in the day, 24 hours in the day, to actually just vibrate
1440.
14,
40
four-
minutes.
1,440, yes, 1,440 minutes in the day. So when you start to chant a lot, you start to examine, well, perhaps I don't need a 20-minute conversation with this particular person. Perhaps I can minimize that. Perhaps I don't need to do all this shopping and wandering around in the supermarket. If I have my focus, if I have my list exactly, all little tricks along the way to tighten the time that we can spend with these transcendental activities. And it comes very easily once you begin to chant. You get the higher intelligence. Krishna wants us to chant. He creates a situation. I can remember personally when I began to chant more, and I was dressing Prabhupada in the Samadhi in Vrindavan. And that very day that I took this resolve to chant more, one devotee came almost crying and weeping, "Please, can I dress Prabhupada? I'm really anxious to do it." So very easily, yes, go ahead, do, you can do. And then a few days later, I was dressing Krishna Balaram, and another Italian devotee came, and he was also begging me to show him how to dress, and he really wanted to do that. So within 3 or 4 days, all these services that I had been doing were very easily just taken away, and someone else was doing them. So Krishna, he showed me, if you have this priority, I will arrange your scheduling. That's an example from a temple situation. If you're in a household with your job and all the rest of it, you can still try. If you take that resolve, watch the miracles that Krishna can arrange for you to still get the same necessary income into your family. But also, another amazing thing that happens when we chant more is that our material desires go down. If our material desires go down, we don't want so many things from the supermarket. We realize that we don't need all these things in our lives. So when our material desires go down, we don't have to work so hard to fulfill these material. If you're not chanting practically at all, your material desires are on fire. They're so high. And we think, yes, this is very respectable. I want this good car. I want this good camera. I want this, that, all these things. But if you chant more, you realize the futility of all these objects. And then gradually, you come down. Yes, I just need a few meals a day, some medicine, a roof over my head, some cloth on my body. These are the 4 main objects that we need in our lives. But to try to increase that, that's going to take a lot of time. So keep increasing your material desires, and you'll never have time to chant a lakh a day. Of course not. But if you do chant a lakh a day, and it's very invigorating to do that, and immediately you start to feel, I am a serious devotee, even if you're just chanting 32 rounds a day, or even 25 rounds a day. But we should quickly break out of this boundary of 16 rounds a day. That will really just keep us like treading water. You won't actually go anywhere. You won't move. You won't develop. But 32 rounds, you will start, even 25, you will break out of that restriction and start to go somewhere. And 40 rounds, you will feel, yes, I'm really demonstrating my sincerity in my practice. I've really put this on the front burner of my life, even at 40 rounds a day. 32 rounds also is very respectable. But then from 40, it's a very short step to 64 also. And if we're doing like that, we're feeling internally the abhiman of being more like a devotee. We're feeling the identity. Yes, I am aspiring for that platform of being a pure devotee. So the counting really is significant and really helps. Mahaprabhu created that situation for us. He's given us the holy name and he's given us the method. If we read that Harinam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur, he explains everything. But he was able to do those 3 lakhs a day somehow or other. I don't know how he was able to do it, but he was. He's the Namacharya. However, when people of mundane at the top of 63, I think, yes. However, when people of mundane intelligence hear these descriptions, they interpret them in.
When Bhajananandi Vaishnava.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Babaji.
Okay. Please be merciful, yes, and grant me such spiritual realization. Babaji, when you abandon all material, yes, we read this, material doubts and mundane logic and constantly apply yourself to Sri Nam, spiritual realization will quickly arise within you of its own accord. The more you resort to mundane logic, the more you will subjugate your mind to material bondage. The more you strive to initiate the flow of Nam Ras, the more your material shackles will be loosened. That's what we've just spoken about for the last 10 minutes. The spiritual dimension will then manifest in your heart. Have faith. Lahiri, please be merciful and explain what that spiritual experience is. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. That's on a cliffhanger. So for tomorrow. Actually, I want to read this paragraph so we can meditate on it twice, because I like to read the paragraph the next day also. So we'll just read this last paragraph. The mind is brought to a standstill when it tries to understand that truth through words. The truth can be realized only through culture of spiritual bliss. Culture means practice, like you cultivate your ground to put the seeds in. Culture of spiritual bliss. Chid Anand. Give up all your argumentations and simply chant Sri Nam for several days. Then the power of Nam will automatically dispel all of your doubts, and you will not have to inquire further from anyone in this regard. So we'll stop there. So I love this expression here. The mind is brought to a standstill when one tries to understand that truth through word. What does that mean? That means there's no more logic, there's no more reasoning, there's no more rationality going on. It's brought to a standstill. The mind doesn't have to reason, doesn't have to be mental about it, can just accept that divine point of bliss and sweetness and connection with transcendence. It will happen if we have faith in that more than we have faith in the material world.
It's in the present moment, basically.
Absolutely. There's no past, there's no future. When
Words here mean mantra.
Huh?
Understand the truth through words. What does words here mean?
Where are we?
The mind is brought to a standstill when it tries to understand the truth through words.
Yes, trying to explain, trying to use logic, rational, intellectual. That's what I just said. If you're trying to use words to explain the truth, you can't. You give up that idea of trying to explain the truth and recognize it as a transcendental experience. Don't try and restrict it. That's what we've been talking about most of the class. Don't put words indicate logic. Gokul, words indicate logic, don't they? That means you've got to be intelligent to have the words. So the truth can't be described like that. It's beyond that. Because it's not mundane. It's absolute. And there are no words. But we use this language to show an indication of where it is. But when you actually start to make some connection, there's no more words to describe that. It's beyond words, beyond logic, beyond rationale, beyond reasoning. This is why he's brought in the conception or the understanding. Please chant then it will be beyond the mind and words.
The words explain road, but not the goal.
Huh? The words explain the world?
Road, way, but not
They don't describe, they can't give us the goal completely,
no
but they
goal.
will guide us to the goal.
This is
Yes.
what words.
Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. We are so blessed and fortunate if we have faith to sit here and hear these truths. Really. I mean, why don't we just get up and go out and do something frivolous? But we don't. We all have faith. So we're quietly, attentively listening. Krishna's going to perceive this. Gaur Premnande, Hari Hari Bol, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.